touch the ground, the floor or water. Let's go right now to an NBC special report on Bill Cosby.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Lester Holt.
Good afternoon. We're back with more breaking news about Bill Cosby. You see him there now outside his home. The 83-year-old entertainer released from prison this afternoon. He's returned to his home near Philadelphia, and that is where, after the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania overturned his sexual assault conviction. Let's listen.
For reviewing Mr. Cosby's appeal, also seeing the lies, seeing that Mr. Cosby had immunity. This U.S. citizen who served our country in the Navy, not just in the Navy, but he served our country in so many different ways through his celebrity, him and Mrs. Cosby. Mr. Cosby has always used his celebrity, his name, his likeness to uplift women. This is a man who refused to perform at the White House with Nixon. Nixon put him on a accompanist list in the 60s, along with so many other great names like Dick Gregory, Jane Fonda. How could a man who was being watched by the FBI every day be raping and drugging women in the 60s or 70s, especially a black man? Today, innocence came to Mr. Cosby with the help of these wonderful attorneys.
Yes, yes.
To his right, you will see Ms. Jennifer Bunjean. She argued the appeal. To my left, you see Brian Perry.
Yes.
To Brian's left, Ashley Cohen. And then you have Haley Cohen. These are women and men
They kick that.
who from all walks of life. As I said earlier, James Brown made a song, "It's a man's world. There would be nothing without a woman and girl." Mrs. Cosby was that woman. For 57 years, the queen, the matriarch of the Cosby family, who fought for his vindication, who said he would be vindicated. And today, on this hot day, this is a hot verdict for us that we will forever cherish. Because we got one of the greatest, or the greatest entertainer alive today. Mr. Bill Cosby, this great American citizen, this American treasure, this icon, with us today. I'm going to allow Ms. Bunjean to say a few words. Ms. Bunjean?
Yes, we are thrilled to have Mr. Cosby home. He served 3 years of an unjust sentence.
Too long, too long.
He did it with dignity and principle, and he was a mentor to other inmates. He was really, as I say, doing the time. The time was not doing him.
He's a classy man.
And I want to say that
I can't get over it. I have to get in front of you.
Which, frankly, the lower courts will not. We all along never should have been prosecuted for this. We have every right to rely on the prosecutor's word. And they pulled the rug out from underneath him because of public opinion, and that is not how our system should operate.
Absolutely.
When that happens, there cannot be a just sentence. And if there had been a just verdict and a just sentence, we wouldn't be here fighting. But there was not a just sentence and a not a just verdict. And I think it's really important that we keep our eye on the ball, that our Constitution is sacred, and that we need to uphold it at all times. And I'm glad that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court saw that.
I'm very proud of the team that we put together. Very proud to be part of this case. We always thought that eventually this is where it would end up. Mr. Cosby and I had many, many talks over the last couple of years. I predicted it, and we're here. It's a good day for the Cosby family.
Mr. Cosby, how does it feel to be home?
Well, he is extremely happy to be home. He looks forward to reuniting with his wife and his children. And obviously, this has been a hard few years for this entire family. And it's really a blessing for him. And he says, you know, his heart is just beating really fast, and he's happy to be here.
And we have Ashley here who works on the case. Ashley, say a few words. Ashley Cohen.
I'm just honored to be part of such an amazing team. These lawyers did an incredible job, and I'm so thankful to be a part of it and to help Mr. Cosby, and I'm just proud to be here and watch him get released.
And this wonderful attorney, Haley, you see right here. I'm sorry. Her father was in prison with Mr. Cosby, and he a message to Mr. Cosby before he left today for her. Say a few words.
He did. He said that he loves me very, very much, and I...
What's your father's name?
Richard. And I am returning love him very, very much in return, and I was glad that Mr. Cosby and him got to know each other while incarcerated together, and I'm blessed and so grateful to be here to see Mr. Cosby.
And in closing, this was an unwanted 3-year vacation that Mr. Cosby never asked for. But in hindsight, we're happy that he got it because he was able to pull the covers off of the corruption in Montgomery County with the crooked DA, with the crooked judge, Steele and O'Neill. These same people find this man, this American citizen. I don't know how a DA has that much time on his hands to find him $2,010 for not cutting his yard. I was on the way to pay that fine when I got a call from Nick DeHaan. And Nick told me that they had vacated the conviction. You know, what we saw today was justice. Justice for all Americans. Mr. Cosby's conviction being overturned is for the world and all Americans who are being treated unfairly by the judicial system and some bad officers, because all officers are not bad. So we want to thank this entire team. We want to thank Mrs. Cosby, her family. I want to thank my family. And just thank you all for those who decided to tell the truth and allowed us to tell the truth when we had the opportunity. Thank you.
Mr. Cosby, how you feeling? Are you happy to be out?
All right, members of the Cosby legal team, his spokesman Andrew Wyatt, and Cosby himself flashing the peace sign to people who have gathered outside his Pennsylvania home, but saying nothing, a smile on his face as a very jubilant defense team talked about what they thought was the unfairness of the prosecution and the sentencing. All that, of course, now reversed by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court today. Kate Snow joining us now. Kate, you've been in touch with some of Cosby's accusers who say they're stunned at his release. I'm sure watching what we just saw unfold is salt in the wounds for many of them.
Yeah, that would probably be an understatement, Lester. To say that they're stunned, shocked, despondent, that's all an understatement. They're angry. I just spoke half an hour ago with Heidi Thomas, who's one of the women who testified in Bill Cosby's trial in support of Andrea Constant, the main accuser, and she's floored. I mean, she said she couldn't believe it when she heard it. She's angry that this happened. She feels like justice has been undone. She feels like even though the jury believed them in that courtroom, it has now been undone by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, and she doesn't see a path forward to hold Bill Cosby to justice, because many of the accusers now have cases that date back so far that they are beyond the statute of limitations. That said, I texted with another accuser, Eden Turrell, who said, we need to move forward now. We need to continue as part of the Me Too movement and find a path forward to build on what has been done.
All right, Kate Snow, thank you. And Stephanie Gosk is on the phone now from Elkins Park, Pennsylvania. She was in watch this news conference, if you will, just outside Philadelphia. Tell us the scene there, Stephanie.
You know, it's pretty remarkable, Lester, having been at both of the trials, there in court every day and watching this unfold. It's unbelievable to see Bill Cosby right now looking very frail and gingerly stepping back into his house. I'm not sure how many times we said that it looked likely he might not get out of prison alive given the sentence that he was given. But here he is, and the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, in its decision, saying that his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent was violated, and that is at the very heart of our constitutional system. However, it is a technicality, and the evidence that was heard, the things that were heard in court, that deposition that was given, was what the jury used to convict him. And that, for a lot of people, is not going to feel like justice. As Kate was saying, a lot of the women who accused Bill Cosby of sexually assaulting them, the statute of limitations had expired for those women. They saw this trial as being justice for them, and now it has been thrown out.
Yeah, the testimony we heard in the trial is what it is. This was, as you note, a decision based on a previous agreement with another district attorney, and whether that was binding that would have shielded him from prosecution. Let me bring in NBC legal analyst Danny Savalas, who, Danny, just kind of sum up, if you will, what this court was saying.
That the prior district attorney, Bruce Castor, essentially made a promise when he made a public signed press release that said that he would not prosecute Cosby, and that he did so with the intent that Cosby would give up his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. In other words, that Cosby would willingly sit down for a civil deposition and expose himself to civil liability. And irrespective of whether or not there was an explicit agreement between the two, it was really about that public promise that the court said caused Cosby to respond to his detriment and rely on that promise. And for that reason, even if there was not a legitimate contract or all the rules weren't followed in Pennsylvania for granting immunity, the court concluded that promise must be enforced. It's the only remedy that works here. And the court said it does not bar prosecution lightly. This is a rare remedy, and you're seeing it here. And in fact, Lester, what you're seeing right now, a defendant being released after a favorable appeal, is probably one of the rarest things in criminal prosecution and criminal defense that you may ever see.
Yeah, and when we see these type of things, typically it's because a question of guilt or innocence. This was not undermining anything that was in testimony in this case or any facts put forward, just the manner in which they were put forward, correct?
This decision has nothing to do with the credibility of Andrea Constand. It has nothing to do with the credibility of the women who came in and testified that Cosby may have done similar things to them in the past. In fact, the decisions that led to this case being thrown out were made years and years before, arguably, some of the prosecutors were ever even actually prosecutors. Those decisions were made when I was just out of law school. They were made a long time ago by people who weren't involved in the prosecution. They have nothing to do with how the prosecution put on their factual case.
Danny, good to have you along with us. Thank you very much. We'll have more on all this tonight on NBC Nightly News. I'm Lester Holt. Thank you for watching. We'll see you a bit later on.
And you just heard from representatives for Bill Cosby. The Pennsylvania Supreme